Hi, everyone. Welcome back to English Fab, where learning English is practical, useful, and fab. Have you ever heard someone say, "You had better do this," and wondered what it really means? Many English learners confuse had better with should or must and aren't sure when to use it. The tricky part is that even though it has had in it, it's not about the past. It's actually a strong way to give advice, express urgency, or even give warnings. In today's lesson, we'll break it all down. We'll go over the different ways to use had better, including strong advice, urgency, warnings, and expectations. This lesson follows the grammar introduced on our English Fab website, so you can review key points anytime. If you find English difficult, don't worry. You can translate the subtitles into English and your own language like this. Check the description below for extra details. So let's get started. In this section, we'll go over the 4 main ways to use had better with clear explanations and examples. Let's get started. 1. Giving strong advice or warning. We use had better when we want to give strong advice and emphasize that something should be done to avoid negative consequences. Example, you had better study for the test or you might fail. This is stronger than just saying you should study. It suggests that if you don't study, something bad could happen. Another example, he had better bring an umbrella or he'll get wet. This phrase is useful when you want to stress the importance of taking action. 2. Expressing urgency or immediate necessity. Use had better when something must be done soon to avoid problems. Example, we had better leave now or we'll miss the train. This shows urgency. If we don't leave now, we will definitely have a problem. More examples. You had better call her before it's too late. They had better finish the report today, or the manager will be upset. When there's a time limit or a deadline, had better is a strong way to express urgency. 3. Making a threat or giving a warning. We also use had better when we want to warn someone about possible bad consequences if they don't follow the advice. Example, you had better not be late again or you'll lose your job. This isn't just advice, it's a serious warning. The consequence is clear. If you're late again, you could get fired. More examples. He had better stop shouting or he'll get into trouble. You had better not forget my birthday. This structure is common when someone is angry or serious about a rule or expectation. 4. Talking about expectations or responsibilities. Use had better when talking about something that is expected, required, or necessary. Example, she had better apologize for being rude. This suggests that apologizing is the right thing to do, and if she doesn't, there might be negative consequences. More examples. He had better be careful with that expensive watch. You had better tell the truth about what happened. This use of had better is slightly softer than a warning, but still carries a sense of strong expectation. Now that we've covered the different ways to use had better, let's go over some important tips to help you use it naturally and correctly in conversations. 1. Had better versus should or ought to. A common question is, what's the difference between had better, should, and ought to? Should and ought to are softer suggestions with no strong consequences. Example, you should take an umbrella. This is just friendly advice. Had better is stronger and suggests something bad could happen if the advice is ignored. Example, you had better take an umbrella or you'll get soaked. If you don't, there will be a negative result. If you want to emphasize importance and consequences, use had better. 2. Always use had better in the present or future. Even though it includes had, this phrase does not refer to the past. It is used for present or future situations. Example, you had better call her now. This is something you should do now or soon. Incorrect. I had better called her yesterday. This is wrong because had better is not for past actions. If you need to talk about the past, use should have instead. Example, I should have called her yesterday. 3. Negative form, had better not. To warn someone not to do something, use had better not. Example, you had better not tell anyone about this. If you do, something bad might happen. More examples. He had better not be late again. You had better not forget your passport. This form is useful for strong warnings. 4. Had better always takes the base form of the verb. After had better, the verb should always be in its base form without to. Correct. You had better sleep early tonight. Incorrect. You had better to sleep early tonight. This rule is important for using had better naturally. 5. Use contractions for natural speech. In spoken English, people often contract had better to make it sound more natural. I'd better. Example, I'd better go now. You had better. You'd better. Example, you'd better be careful. He, she had better. She'd better. Example, she'd better call soon. These contractions are common in everyday conversation, so practicing them will help you sound more fluent. 6. Practice common phrases with had better. Here are some useful phrases to help you get comfortable with had better. You had better see a doctor. She had better not forget my birthday. We had better hurry or we'll be late. Try making your own sentences with had better to reinforce your understanding. Great job. Now you know how to use had better to give strong advice, express urgency, give warnings, and talk about expectations. This phrase is powerful and helps you sound more natural when discussing important situations. To improve even more, try thinking of 3 situations where had better would be useful and say them out loud. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become using it in real conversations. Okay, thanks for watching today's lesson on English Fab. I hope you found these English tips useful and feel more confident. Remember, practice makes perfect, so try using these phrases in your daily conversations. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more Fab English lessons. Until next time, keep practicing and stay Fab.